Coach Dexter is, I would say, a strongly spirited, a firm. I like to say I'm an open-minded, optimistic, and very, very, what would I say, deep mind. My journey in coaching started way back in 2010, but I could say like the realest part began in 2013. So it's been more than 10 years in the game. So this is probably the 11th year now. Of course, I chose to coach football simply because that was the only sport that I ever played. That was the only sport that I ever interacted with. You rarely interact with one sport and then you go and coach the other, honestly, unless you've interacted with multiple sports. That's when you have a choice to make. But in a situation like mine where I've already interacted with one sport, it was so obvious that I was going to move towards the direction of football because that is what I grew up in love. My greatest strength would be, I think, honesty. I think I'm too honest sometimes, but I think that that is not a characteristic that could be categorized as something that's a problem. That should be the real thing. So I think that is my key strength. I'm very honest with my players. I'm very honest with the people that I work with. And more than that, I'm very straight. I'm very straightforward and very upfront. I don't think I have weaknesses on me. I only have strengths. I'd say I'm passionate, I'm very purposeful, and I'm very authentic. Yeah, those are the three that just came out. I remember. Wow, that is an interesting question. So one that stands out is there's a time when I was still coaching my football club. Those who know, I founded a football club, Young United Football Club, and there was a time I had a player who had some kidney issue. This would forever go down in history as not one of the most difficult moments in my life in the coaching perspective, but most difficult moments of my life. When this particular young man was diagnosed with a kidney problem, I felt like, I don't know, for a moment I felt like I had failed and I didn't understand how I had failed as a coach. It hit me so hard. I remember that I opted to stay out of the game and just end this career altogether. It was so shocking. More than that, it really hit me in the lowest point. So I greatly consider that as one of the toughest moments that I've been faced as a coach. Yes, for sure. Yes, for sure. That was a good one. For those who played with me and those who played against me, I'm sure they remember. At the later stages of my career, that was a fullback, left fullback. They used to call me Bastos, aka Bastonio. Very interesting moments of my career that I can remember. I played with a lot of passion. Of course, the same person that you always see as a coach, the same person that was as a player. And there's no given point in time that I went on that pitch to joke. I gave it everything. Maybe that's why I demand so much from my players. Of course, because of your interaction with the game and the situations that you loved about the game, you'd like to transfer all these good feelings and good memories onto the players that you interact with in the future as a coach. But more than that, even just to improve the general football understanding and the ability of the players, just to give them something extra, maybe things that you never got, honestly. And that is one of the things that drives me a lot, because I want to generally give more than what I got. I want to make better players than the one that I was, or the ones that I played with or I played against during that generation. So it is of more importance for me to really give everything that I can give to the players that I interact with. Where? That's a tough one. Even after a loss, so many people think that the coach is a superhuman who would have all the right things to say after the loss. But the reality is that if there's anyone who's always on the underside after a loss, is the coach, because of all the preparedness and all the things that you try to do before the game, and then maybe they didn't come out well. So it is incumbent upon you as a coach to try and motivate the players, but it's not always that you're going to say the right words at that moment. And mostly it's after you've calmed down is when you sort of find the right words to say to the players, so that they can calm down and they can feel that they have been appreciated throughout the entire match, even though maybe the result did not come home. But mostly it's just try to say one or two words to the players and really stick with the best performances, the best moments in the game, so that they don't feel like they did not do anything that warrants praise. And of course, try to figure out and point out, actually, it's important to point out even the things that did not go down well, so that when they come into the next training, that they are aware and we are very clear as a unit of what we are going to tackle. But I try not to leave the best parts out, because that, for me, at that particular moment, it's a low moment. That's the only motivation that I can be able to give to them. But it's important to note that most of the motivation comes from within, and that will come from the players. They'll probably say that I'm very strict, I'm very no-nonsense, I am very honest, and that is important. I feel like most of the times that I'm interacting with players that I've worked with, they know that when Coach Deck says you did well today, he means what he says. And if you didn't do well, then you're told you didn't do well. I'm very honest. I'll leave that to them, honestly. I wish that, or I hope that they can be as authentic as possible, and they do not try to cover up who I am in front of them and what they think about me. It would really be fun, by the way, if I ever asked them what they think about me and how they could describe me. But I know some of the words, some of the key words. I can guess some of the key words that they would use to describe me. Yeah, I could. I've never coached any other sport, by the way, but I'd like to give a hand to hockey. I know it's very related to football. Okay, something extreme. I don't know. I've found a love for pool table. I don't know if there are coaches for pool, but maybe rugby. Yeah, maybe rugby, maybe a bit of tennis. If it's something extreme, but if it's something that's really close to the game, I'm not really sure if rugby is extreme. Rugby is very close, by the way. So if it is something very extreme, I'd say tennis. Yeah, tennis. But anything closer to the game, I'd say rugby and what? What is the first thing I said? Hockey, yeah. Ice hockey, to be precise. Ice hockey. I love ice hockey. I love the accidents that happen on ice hockey. The accident, boom, boom. And then the most amazing thing is boom, and then you see men standing up after that, and they still continue to glide. And that is what life is all about. You get into accidents, you get into get on the day on a bad mood, and then you have to wake up and you have to continue. So I think I love that about the ice hockey. Yeah. I love all my players. It will be suicidal if I start picking them up, but I love all my players, man. Most importantly, my players give me everything. They give me everything. All the teams that I've worked with, I felt, even in the darkest moments, that my players were honest and they gave everything. So Shout out to every player that I've worked with. You guys have been amazing. In my team, I don't. Do you? Okay, honestly, do you want me to get stoned? There's a lot of players. I love every player that I work with. I will not be dragged into that situation where I have to pinpoint. The thing is, I arrived at a point where I chose not to be emotionally attached to players a lot because it comes with a lot of baggage as well. So, yeah, of course, sometimes you're tempted to call a player here and there, but you say, okay, fine. Anyway, they're going to come to training tomorrow. So a lot. The character that I am will always collide with players a lot. But you know what? I always tell people in general that the most genuine relationships are the ones that come from conflict. Those relationships stay nearly, I could say, forever. Because you started from a point of honesty. This is who I am, this is who you are, we collide, and then after that we come into a compromise and we decide this is the way we are going to approach life. And maybe nobody has come out to say I'd want to become a coach like you, but a lot of them have come out to say you inspire me a lot and keep doing what you're doing. I find messages all over the place every other day from players that I've interacted with before who come back to appreciate and say, you know what, you've inspired my direction and my choices in life. So yeah, but I've not found anybody who've come to say, I'd like to be a coach like you. No. Maybe coaching is not really something that a lot of people desire to become. Maybe coaching is not for everyone. Gumzo mtaani, stories are jaba. Like we sit down, like we sit and talk about life, man. It's very important. It's important. Football is a tool that you can use to teach life. You see, so there are certain life experiences that you can bring into football, and there are certain football experiences that you can correlate with life. And most of the time, that is all that happens when we are together with my players, and it's always about trying to correlate these two. No, I'd never have a player in my team who we do not like sort of get along. Why? What's the essence of having someone you don't get along in the team? Honestly, and by getting along is okay. I don't mean that you need to be friends with everyone, but at least get along with people. You see that? So if you're asking about getting along, then we have to get along for us to be on the same page. But if you're asking about friendship, of course, there are some levels of friendship. There are others who are, but there are some players who, of course, they are, I think, due to how they are brought up or how they live in their families, there are players who will always be open to have discussions and communications and all that. And then there are others who are always like, when they're done with training, it's poof, out. So the qualities are very simple. Honestly, you have to love the game to a point that you want to constantly improve. That is very important because it is very difficult to coach a person who is not in love with what they're doing. I don't know if that makes sense. Because the moment this person is not in love with what they're doing and they're not focused with what they're doing, then it means that any other thing that comes as a distraction, they will go with that. You see, so it's very important for me. It's very important to have someone who is in love with the game and who is willing to sacrifice for the game as well. Because it's a game of sacrifices. If you cannot sacrifice your sleep, you cannot sacrifice your free time, if you cannot sacrifice sometimes family time to get onto the field. Sometimes it's rainy, it's really cold, for example. Here is where you will see the players who are really focused and who are really determined to become. Because if a player does not love this game to a certain degree, then any other thing that comes on the side, they'll be distracted, they will not be committed to this. So yeah, that's very important, like the love for the game.